All right, welcome back. I hope you're having an awesome time so far. Our next session is titled Using AI to Increase Value in Procurement. It will be presented by two amazing speakers from Walmart. Please join me in welcoming them to our virtual stage.
All right, thank you for that introduction. My name is Michael Dewitt. I lead our Walmart International Strategic Sourcing Group, focused on indirect spend management. We also call our team, you'll hear us refer to it as ISM for indirect spend management. I also have with me Travis Johnson, who, among other things, it leads our technology enablement for procurement area. So with that, let me talk a little bit about Walmart first. I'm sure all of you are somewhat familiar with Walmart. It is indeed a large company, in fact, based on revenue, largest in the world, which has its advantages and disadvantages for procurement professionals. The advantages being that, if we can successfully leverage our spend and our knowledge, we can shift the buying power and create competitive advantage for the organization. The disadvantage being that we're a large organization and it's very complex, and trying to align and leverage our spend is in fact very difficult, as you can imagine. So I am in fact specifically focused on Walmart International, which I'll talk a little bit about now. Walmart US and Walmart International work as somewhat separate entities, but also we align as much as possible together. Walmart International, now you'll notice that this is Q4 earnings versus the previous slide was full year. So full year, we're well over 100 billion in revenue in Walmart International. That includes 25 countries that we do business in outside of the US. So we comprise about 30% of the overall revenue for Walmart. So let me talk about what we do specifically, our indirect spend management team. So our statement at the top really says it all. We work to maximize the value of every dollar that we spend on indirect goods and services by optimizing quality, reducing total operating costs, and supporting our business strategies that enable our customers to improve their lives. So here's how we do that. We build proactive long-term strategies. We work with our strategic suppliers to create more value together with those suppliers. Of course, we focus on hiring and developing the best people in the world. And we utilize technology to enable us to become more efficient, more effective, and to create better sourcing insights, which Travis will talk about here soon. Next slide. So this is where we operate, how we operate in Walmart International. We have 8 procurement offices supporting those 25 countries that I talked about. We have over 200 associates focused on strategic sourcing only. This, of course, would not include our tactical procurement teams. But there's really 3 key segments of our team. One is the procurement offices in markets themselves, and they primarily focus within their market to make sure that they're buying as best they can. We also have an international leverage team that looks across markets to consolidate spend and look at global strategies. We work with the US wherever possible when we do our sourcing strategies. And then we have a center of excellence based in Canada. And there we create our best practices, and we do training for the markets. And that's where really we focus on improving people, process, and technologies. Next slide. So as many of you, I'm sure, who are familiar with procurement know that companies always seem to be on a journey, and I'm sure not only in procurement, but other areas, a journey of transformation to continuously improve. And we, in fact, have also been on a journey of transformation over the past 3 years. And we've really made significant improvements and creating value to the organization. So you can see 3 years ago where we started with spend source, spend under management, our maturity, people capability, and so forth. We've launched key programs through those 3 years to make improvements in people, process, and technology. And we can see the results of those efforts across every KPI. And of course, the big one, including the savings and the value that we're delivering, giving back to Walmart. So you can see the evolution of the savings over the past 3 years. We went from 303 million in savings to 407 million to 512 million last year, which totals a bit over 1.2 billion in savings. So we have been focused. We have been evolving our focus. We are now more evolved in technology and especially in artificial intelligence, which we're really excited about some of the applications out there. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Travis Johnson to talk more about.
Great, thanks, Michael. No doubt that AI has caught the attention of most companies, and market research firms are also communicating many predictions. This one is interesting to us as we look at what Gartner says about what will happen by the end of next year. Some of these predictions around 50% of legacy source to pay type of solutions, those purchasing softwares, being replaced by some form of an AI solution. We can see some focuses as well on how do we leverage the chatbots to be those virtual assistants and trying to automate and streamline many of the procurement activities. And oftentimes many people, as we look at AI, we think about automation and trying to be able to remove those administrative activities and reduce the amount of non-value added areas of emphasis. And there's no doubt that procurement technology provides more value. There's more visibility, there's more execution speed. And we want to automate, we want visibility into our analytics. For us at Walmart, our focus really in AI is leveraging the technology. But the amount of data and data lakes that exist is really how do we take all this data and make AI more intelligent rather than just automation. So we're trying to move beyond automation with AI and into more intelligent sourcing. Or how do we create more intelligence or actionable insights that our sourcing professionals can leverage because of AI? Just like Michael was talking about our journey within the overall efforts of the international ISM team, there's also an advancement and transformation that we're doing within technology. As Michael started this organization, there was an implementation as well of trying to have a common platform within that source to pay solution so that we have visibility and we look at where those opportunities for optimization of spends, aggregating volumes, those things that we can capture because of the use of that common platform. Our technology roadmap, though, has increased significantly, and AI is playing a critical role for us to be able to automate those administrative activities, continue to enforce our governance processes, but really to ensure that we're gaining those richer strategies as our sourcing professionals develop those strategies and engage with our suppliers. AI then becomes that focus for us. As you can see, we want that analytics and insights coupled with AI. We believe we can move beyond just what one person has to offer, but what everyone has to offer because of the data input that occurs from all of those sourcing professionals. This source to pay chevron is common for many strategic sourcing organizations. But within that source to pay solution, Walmart's continuously looking for where are those opportunities to automate, but where can we also then create more intelligence within our activities? And sometimes it doesn't happen just at once. Through that evolution, one capability within this source to pay arena might be more attractive for the use of AI because AI is more applicable, or it might be further along in its technology advancement. But overall, we drive to the mantra that we want to be able to do more quality work with the same amount of people. So as we evaluate our AI solutions and technology in general too, it's continuously falling underneath that platform and foundation. How can we do more quality work with the same amount of time and the same amount of resources? So taking this into a little bit deeper, if we look at areas of focus for us within AI, and specifically carving out the AI capabilities, our technology roadmap is going to be a lot greater. But in here, you can see that there's 4 areas of focus that we've started to focus in on. I'll talk just about the first 3, and then we'll go into a little more depth on 2 of those. Within spend analytics, we're at the very beginning and early stages of being able to bring a data lake of information, harmonizing that with AI to be able to allow AI to search all of those reportable fields and things that are occurring across these multiple geographies and different continents in order to proactively push insights for sourcing professionals to be able to leverage and act upon. The second one, where we look at our automated negotiations, and we'll go into more detail on this, but the focus on this is really trying to generate more savings, whether that's truly on material or service cost savings, or if it's on working capital as we negotiate with our long tail suppliers. The opportunities we see, and we're beginning to leverage today within AI, is automating those negotiations with our long tail suppliers, ones that our sourcing professionals really don't have time to be able to touch and work with. AI identifies and accepts accurate, successful negotiations because of the boundary conditions that are put in place. We'll talk about this a little bit more. So we're currently executing this in one of our markets within Canada. Another area of opportunity is within our category management activities. Category strategies are very time consuming. I think many people understand that. This solution allows us to be able to automate and drive significant amounts of efficiency savings and productivity improvements. But then the AI allows us to leverage the data input that comes from our sourcing professionals and then generating the optimal insights, which might be most appropriate for that category at that time, based on all the inputs that have been inserted through this wizard process that we go through. And then another area of opportunity that we're exploring right now is within contract management. Definitely see the automation benefits of reducing cycle time, trying to allow more focus within the sourcing professional and reducing some of the workload that takes place within the legal organization. But we want to take and leverage that knowledge that happens within the legal team as we partner with them. What are those terms that we just cannot let slide or be changed? And how do we take that mind share that exists within a legal person's mindset and then insert that into AI so that we empower sourcing professionals to be able to negotiate effectively on contracts and being able to do more with the AI tool and still keeping Walmart legal and safe. So let me talk about these 2, specifically the first one here, a few slides on the category management. With the use of this AI category management solution, we're able to provide greater and richer insights and generate major productivity gains. You can see in here with this solution that we're starting to deploy now, there's a 60% productivity improvement versus the manual process when one goes through a normal category strategy that they do on their own. For us at Walmart, this really equates to a significant number of man hours, person hours that are reduced. We believe that we can see upwards of about $6 million in savings as we redirect or repurpose the time that normally would have been spent within a normal category strategy, but now leveraging this AI solution, being able to automate and drive efficiencies there, and then repurpose that time for other more strategic initiatives that will generate and increase savings and affect the P&L. Some of the unique capabilities that are provided with this, one is the benefit of being able to take third-party market intelligence information and integrate that into a category strategy, which is fantastic. The other piece that is a strong importance for us is generating these AI category strategy recommendations, these insights that the tool will recommend based on the inputs from the sourcing professional. And here becomes critical. Sometimes we may forget some things. Maybe we don't think of certain parameters based on all the market, the factors that are taking place. And a sourcing professional, with all they have to do, they may miss an opportunity or an insight that would be very beneficial for their strategy that they have for that year. Well, with the use of AI, we can ensure that there's the right level of depth that is visible for a sourcing professional and their manager, so the right strategies are created as they develop their overall category strategy. And another great benefit is the automation of common tools. Crawlic Matrix, SWOT, Porter's Five Forces, these strategic footprints. Instead of spending time building that into a PowerPoint presentation, let the tool do the work and reduce the amount of data entry that has to be done in creation by the sourcing professional. Then there's an accountability between category strategies and the initiatives that are going to come as a result of those category strategies. A few slides that just gives a little bit of a demonstration as to the visibility and the view of what that would look like. Again, mentioned earlier that the automation piece allows us to reduce the number of touches and data input that takes place and less work on creating charts and graphs. You can see here that the tool will allow for the pre-population of Porter's Five Forces, SWOT, Crawlic Matrix, cost analysis, many of those things that can take a lot of time. Now we put that in the tool's hands based on the input of the category strategy sourcing professional. And then another element is that second piece, which is generating rich strategy insights for that category, looking at the risk of suppliers and the risk of the category itself. Having the tool create that visual allows us to make a better resonation with our stakeholders as we present those category strategies to them, to know what the focus is for that time period of that category strategy. And then overall, coming up with this strategic footprint. Where are we going to focus our time on those key performance areas that are going to be most important for the category strategy at that time? The second area of AI that we've found a great advancement that we're looking forward to continuing to deploy is in the use of this AI and a chatbot. We've identified this technology that allows us to be able to engage more with those long tail suppliers through the use of an AI chatbot. So currently today, Walmart Canada is capitalizing on the opportunity to leverage AI by automating payment term negotiations with hundreds of our long tail suppliers in order to improve working capital. Our success criteria is pretty simple. We expect out of the 100 that we send it to that at least 20% will end up with a successful negotiation that works for both Walmart and our suppliers. And within that success, we've put in those boundary conditions of having at least 4x return on investment. Now, of course, we don't leave our stakeholders outside of this. They're included in the process. And for us, it's important to make sure that their voice is heard. So that's part of our key performance indicator as well, is ensuring that those surveys, as we survey our stakeholders, that process of using this automation in a bot demonstrates the successfulness in their eyes. We also will send out those surveys to our suppliers, and we want their voice and getting that feedback as well, as we really do see this as a partnership. How the process works, it's pretty simple, but it's scalable because we spend the time up front looking at what those negotiation strategies are going to be. What are we allowing to let the supplier agree to? What are we willing to give away? So those tradable terms are identified up front, and it is driven based on those boundary conditions that we saw in the success criteria. So we define those contract parameters, what the value is for each of those contract parameters, and then allow the tool, the AI capability, to look at what is the most optimal scenario for Walmart in order to achieve what we see as generating the appropriate value and the return on investment. The value is generated based on the autonomous negotiations that take place with the supplier. We send a link out to them. We communicate with the suppliers beforehand as to what's occurring, why we're doing it. And then the suppliers will engage with the bot. And once completed, as a successful negotiation is reached, a new contract is signed through DocuSign and or some other electronic signature that then allows the forms to be loaded up into our appropriate contract workspaces, and then updating our ERP systems as well with those new changes to the payment terms. Some of the additional benefits that we see as a part of AI in this chatbot is allowing this to have continuous improvement. We learn from each negotiation where a supplier may stop in the dialogue, what choices they make. Machine learning and the AI will continuously look at where we reach successful stages within the process, and then we can adjust and adapt based on each negotiation that takes place. It also allows for reducing legal exposure. Our MSA contract terms, they can be changed during the renegotiations, and then we update those terms just like we would normally would and keep our contract workspaces up to date so that we're legal and safe. Now, our procurement professionals, they can focus on their strategic suppliers where some of the long tail suppliers may not get the appropriate attention that we need. This also has allowed us to look at where can we spend more time with those long tail suppliers that we may have missed because their spending thresholds might be lower than someone else. The speed allows us to have a competitive advantage as well. So we have an unlimited number of simultaneous negotiations going on at the same time. And they can be with different suppliers that are either goods or services, and they can be taking place in different industries or different areas and categories, rather than us usually having to focus just on one supplier at a time. But even though these are two examples of where Walmart has applied focus and energy and resources, where we're already seeing the benefits take place, there's a numerous another set of capabilities that we see opportunities within artificial intelligence. I think the future of AI is going to continue to improve and accelerate, especially as we move more beyond just automation. There will always be that benefit in addition, but we also want to focus on the intelligence piece. How do we get richer insights? How do we get better actionable activities and actionable items that our sourcing professionals can go execute on and make sure that the strategies are effective and being able to leverage the partnership with our suppliers. I've listed out a few ideas here of things that we're focused on in consideration. For example, we look at e-auctions. That's an important technology for us at Walmart and doing interactive bids with our suppliers. But what if we could take AI and start to leverage the event parameters and the event details and taking hundreds of outcomes from prior events in order to recommend optimal strategies to ensure that we maximize greater amount of value. So starting to put some of the intelligent upstream into a portion of a process is where we see the capabilities moving towards within AI. Dynamic discounting is another great one too. Not only can we see a tool that does some of those parameters for us, but what if we could have all of the fields and all of the data present for artificial intelligence to be able to look at and identify when is the right time based on prime rates or interest rates, where it's better for us to leverage our cash today to be able to offer dynamic discounting versus using external third-party resources to offer that discounting, and then adjusting based on those external factors. All of those are very real possibilities that we know that artificial intelligence will move towards. But we know we're on that initial part of the journey, and we're excited to be not only deploying some of the things that we have today, but the numerous opportunities to continue to offer greater value, not only as a strategic sourcing organization, but leveraging and capitalizing on technology to be an extension of our sourcing professionals. We appreciate your time today.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you both for sharing these insights with us. This has been an awesome presentation, and I know the audience is giving you a huge virtual round of applause. We really appreciate you sharing with us today. For the audience, it's time for you to make your way to your next session. Along the way, make sure you accept your connection request and check out our amazing AI exhibits. Thanks so much, and we'll see you around.